Hello and welcome to our podcast. I'm your host Kavita, and today I'm in conversation with Mr. Jamal Baloch. Jamal is a Baloch activist and media coordinator working with PUNK, which is the human rights wing of the Baloch national movement. He focuses on documenting and raising awareness about human rights violations in Balochistan, especially around enforced disappearances, resource exploitation, and militarization. Welcome to our show, Jamal, and thank you for joining us today.
Welcome.
So there are various human rights violations taking place in Balochistan. Of course, the biggest one is enforced disappearances, mass graves, and many others. Could you tell our viewers a little bit about the current human rights situation in Balochistan?
Yes, the current human rights situation in Balochistan has worsened because starting when the movement against the occupation of Balochistan started, Pakistani forces have been using different tactics to shut people up from asking of their rights. And the initial days when the movement was getting momentum and more stronger and stronger, so the reaction from the state got worse and worse. At this point, Balochistan's entire population wants to get rid of Pakistan's occupation, and this is where the military is trying its best to suppress the people, to suppress the voices for freedom. Pakistan started forcibly disappearing people when the movement started, and it was like they used to forcibly disappear people, threaten them to withdraw from their activism, then release them. But the people did not stop from asking what is theirs, like Balochistan's freedom and independence. The stronger the movement got, they changed their tactics towards the kill and dump policy, which is also internationally recognized, and also the Human Rights Watch termed it kill and dump policy, where the victims are forcibly disappeared first, then they are tortured in torture cells. After that, they are killed and dumped on roadsides or in forests or in rivers. There were thousands of cases of enforced disappearances and extrajudicial killings in Balochistan in 2010, specifically from 2010 to 2013. You would find everywhere a dead body of an activist or belonging to the movement, someone. After that, there was a huge pressure on the movement itself, but later on, after a few years, it again got a rise from the extrajudicial killing of a mother and injuring her daughter, Bramsh Baloch, where I would say the entire Balochistan rose up against these atrocities which Pakistan has been committing. Since then, they have been using multiple tactics to silence the people from demanding their rights. They have also introduced 3MPO, which allows the government of Pakistan to arrest anyone without any crime. Like our activists who were active in Balochistan, they can be arrested without any crime.
Also their family members.
Also their family members, yeah. They have been pushing for that. They have been trying to legalize enforced disappearances. And also the government of Balochistan, which is a so-called government which is aligned with the Pakistani military, and they don't have the consent of the people or the vote of the people. They are not coming by the public's votes, but the military decides who governs. And they have been trying and pushing through the parliament of Balochistan to legalize this enforced disappearances. And also, they have been introducing different bills on enforced disappearances. Like if your son is forcibly disappeared and you are a victim and you protest for it, the government has authority to forcibly detain you, arrest you, and keep you in prison, and then you have to prove that your son is disappeared, or the government is, because since the people are forcibly disappeared by the military, then you have to prove it that it was the military that has forcibly disappeared your son.
So the onus is on the victim and not
Yes.
vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the victim is imprisoned,
Yeah.
and there is a fine of 5 lakh rupees
Yeah.
on the victim. And there are multiple cases that currently going on in Balochistan where the victims' families are in the prison. You can see what happened in Quetta recently, where the leadership of Baloch Yakjehti committee was detained. Still, every time when they are appeared in the court, there is no evidence against them, nothing which the law enforcement agencies have the right to keep them imprisoned. So the courts always keep extending their remand order, like every time they go 15 days, but they want to keep them under the 3 MPO in the prison so that they cannot come to the public and gather public. Also, the same incident where they were arrested, the military opened fire on the protesters. There was a 13-year-old boy who was killed. They shot him on the point blank.
Oh,
and he was, that video is also on the internet where people can see how the military shoots that boy. He was just standing, he was doing nothing else, but they shoot him. So they are the perpetrator. When you ask for justice, they try to create a scenario where they will blame you to be the perpetrator, and they will imprison you. So currently, if you ask about the current situation of human rights in Balochistan, I would say there is 0 human rights in Balochistan. Because if you cannot talk about the human rights, if you cannot talk about the injustices which is happening, it's not just about you. If a mother cannot talk about the disappearance of her son, then that means there is no human rights at all in Balochistan, which we are struggling for in Balochistan.
And there's no freedom of expression.
There's no freedom of expression, there's no freedom of assembly. In Balochistan, you cannot gather with 5 people and protest. You have no right to say what is wrong. You can only praise the government. You can only engage in criminal activities like the death squads which Pakistan has created. You can have a weapon and kill someone in public, but you cannot have a mic and ask for justice in public. That's the situation in Balochistan.
No, that's a real shame. Jamal, you've been a victim of enforced disappearance yourself. Would you please tell us, share your story, what really happened to you?
It was exactly 15 years back from now, because it was October in 2010. I was forcibly disappeared from my college by the law enforcement agencies. They introduced themselves as military intelligence, MI, to me, and they were just pushing me to withdraw from my activism through torture, through threatening me, life threats, as they kept saying that I was a student and I had to focus on my studies instead of engaging in political activities. And these are the consequences, that if I still engage in those activities, I was kept in a dungeon which was a bit far from the city, which I felt because they kept driving, and they took me to a destination where I could not know where am I, and there were also other military personnel in plain clothes. It was a very congested, small place where they tried to extract information from me about the movement through torture. Also, they tried to push me to give them some information about other activists which were engaged in the movement. And after some time, I was also released in a condition that I will never share my story. I had an agreement with the authorities that I will not share my story, or I will not talk about it, or I will withdraw from the movement. I had no choice by that time, but this was only the thing to agree with them. This is how it works in forced disappearances in Balochistan. You can see that people are forcibly disappeared. When they are released, there are many stories that cannot come to the surface.
Right.
Everyone doesn't have the privilege I had to escape from that country and go out and share my story to the public, that what happened, and also tell about the enforced disappearances. This is why you don't see too many people who are released, but they cannot share their stories. Even there was one Swedish national Baloch who was forcibly disappeared, and he was disappeared for 12 years. He had the privilege to have a Swedish passport. This is why he was released.
Right.
Then, sorry to correct it, he was a Norwegian. Mm-hmm. He had a Norwegian passport. He was released after 12 years. I interviewed him personally. I took his testimony and I posted it online. The guarantor which he had was, when you're being released, you must have a guarantor that person is your guarantee that you will not talk about anything. Otherwise, you both will be forcibly disappeared again. Or if you try to flee, that person is going to be forcibly disappeared. I recorded his testimony and shared it in public, that what happened in these 12 years. After a few days, I kept receiving calls from the guarantor's family that they are threatening to disappear him if I do not delete that video. Right. So I had also no option left, because I didn't want to risk someone else's life. Otherwise, he would be in a great trouble. So also I deleted that video to protect that guy to escape from the country first. Then we could share the story. But this is how they tried to escape from appear in public that these are the perpetrators. They are forcibly disappearing people. There are also many victims. They have come out. They have moved from Balochistan to somewhere else, and they have shared their stories just as I did. That's.
No, thank you so much for sharing your story and being the voice to many more such people who have not been as lucky, like you were mentioning. And this led to your resolve being stronger in your journey of being an activist, I'm sure.
Yes, exactly, because not everyone can see what enforced disappearances is.
Yeah.
For many, it's just a term, that enforced disappearance. But what happens really, I can remember it frame by frame, what happens in a torture cell. So it eventually makes you resolve stronger, because you want to do something for whom they are forcibly disappeared. And I have my childhood friends who are still forcibly disappeared. I have my organization friends, my colleagues who have been working with me, who have been in contact with me. So it also makes it a bit stronger that I keep pushing for the enforced disappearances issue to get resolved, or to help those victims who are still in dungeons, who are still being tortured, because it's not something that I can describe it in words, how painful it is for someone.
I'm sure.
There were many stories, even I have recorded many testimonies apart than mine, that what happened to the people. In a torture cell, your greatest wish are two. One is that you should be killed immediately, or you should be released immediately. Now you can imagine how would someone wish death. How painful is it for that person? Even in a torture cell, there were multiple testimonies that we recorded, that how the military tries to keep you alive in a torture cell, so that you should not kill yourself in a torture cell. Yeah. If you're having a pant on, you don't have a belt on, because they think with a belt you can suffocate yourself and kill yourself. They will cut your nails so that you don't cut your veins through your nails. or whatever food you get inside a torture cell, you don't get a hard material in that, suppose a bone in a dish through which you can kill yourself. This is the intensity and this is the atmosphere in a torture cell where people just wish to die instead of being kept in that torture cell. So this is why I feel very important, apart than anything else, apart than living my own life and enjoying it. I wish to keep pushing to help those who are still in dungeons. But it's not the core belief that I have to be in this movement. I think it is very important for also those who are living in Balochistan, because Balochistan, I believe, it's a huge prison where you don't have freedoms. And I wish that my people become free like others are across the world.
Right. And also all those families who are still waiting for their loved ones to return. So
it's for families also, it's very hard because it's something also I cannot explain.
Yeah.
It's just a mother or a sister or a brother who is direct victim can explain what do they feel. But we can know that what is the amount of pain a mother goes and uncertainty that what is going to be the result. Is my son going to be freed?
Yeah.
Or is he going to be killed? Is he still alive or is he dead? That makes them, I believe, die every single second because they don't know what is happening. If you know what is happening, if someone is in prison, you can go check on him, how is his health, how is he doing, and you get somehow some relief, even though if someone is in a prison. But forcible disappearance is something that you can imagine anything. You can make a mother or a sister or a brother they keep creating scenarios in their head, and this is what keeps hurting them the most.
Because you don't know
what's happening now at this time. Even though I have met many families, they say that when we are eating food, this bite of food it doesn't go through our throat because we imagine that is my son getting food or not.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying this food right now, even they cannot take a pleasure of having a food.
Right.
This is the situation with the family. So yes, obviously anyone who has been through or who has seen all this would never be relaxed sitting in a room and enjoying only his life. He would or she would obviously try to resist this.
Right. You had organized a protest in Utrecht on the 19th of this month, I believe. Could you tell our viewers a little bit about what that protest was about, and also if there are any other upcoming events or other activities that you're planning?
Yeah, this protest was emergency call by our organization across the world. We had to protest because currently there is a military operation going on in Zahiri area of Balochistan, where Pakistani gunship helicopters bombarded on civilian population. Also, they used drones against the civilian population, where 6 people were killed just before we protested. 4 of those 6 were children, around 3 to 5 years or 7 years old children who were killed in those bombardments. This protest was against that military operation which was taking place in Balochistan, where the innocent civilians are targeted and killed. Yes.
Right. And is there anything else that is being planned in the near future?
Yeah, we have plans for the near future about the occasions which take place. Suppose in December, International Human Rights Day, we are going to organize a protest also against human rights violations in Balochistan. But we do it occasionally every time on international events or days or immediate protests. We also have on sometimes when it's an emergency call, something huge happens in Balochistan, so we get out and protest against that.
Right. You've also been active at the European Union. What is your ask, especially in terms of the GSP plus status that Pakistan currently enjoys? If you can tell us a little bit more about that.
Our ask about the GSP plus is not different of what GSP plus terms and conditions are, because GSP plus states that a state cannot enjoy that status if it is involved in human rights violations. And I don't think there is any possibility of a right, that a fundamental right someone has not been violated by Pakistan, be it freedom of expression, freedom of assembly, freedom of movement, or individual freedoms, or other rights. Pakistan has violated everything, from the occupation of our land, from the freedoms of our people, and also they have, as we have already mentioned, that how they have engaged in torturing people, in mentally torturing the families in Balochistan. So it is not fair at all that Pakistan should be enjoying this status.
Right.
Our demand is as per what they have a regulation on GSP plus. Pakistan has no right to be listed as one of the status holders of GSP plus, because it has been engaged in gross human rights violations, in war crimes in Balochistan till date. Every other day, every single day, there is something going on in Balochistan which should not happen in terms of human rights. So it has no right to be in that list.
Right, of course. You've also been going to various Human Rights Council sessions for a number of years now at the UN in Geneva, and working closely with the working group of enforced disappearances, among others. What has been the progress? Have you seen any progress happen, and what is your opinion on that?
I think, even if individually, I think that what I am doing is not enough.
Yeah.
So what United Nations is doing is not at all enough for what is happening in Balochistan. I've been engaging with the United Nations working group with our team. Obviously, we have been documenting the human rights violations, also the individual cases of enforced disappearances. But the mechanism which United Nations is having right now on enforced disappearances, I think it needs to have some changes in it. Otherwise, there is no resolution to this issue is not going to get resolved.
Right.
Because Pakistan, countries like Pakistan, they have also propagated it among their public, among their people, that this is the issue of their survival. If they don't kill us, they have made scenarios among their people that we deserve this, we have to be tortured, we have to be kept in dungeons, otherwise we are gonna destroy them, which is not the case at all. We are asking about our rights, our national rights, and our land. So they are not gonna act on recommendations. The way United Nations works is like, if you file a case of an individual forcibly disappeared, they will try to communicate with the government that they will send them a letter from the United Nations that we believe that this person is forcibly disappeared in your territory, or we have been reported that the person has been forcibly disappeared by the government authorities, which obviously they will not agree on, or they will deny the fact, as they keep denying to the people of the Balochistan or publicly they have been denying this issue of enforced disappearances, but they don't have a proper mechanism to adequately put a pressure on Pakistan, like an economic pressure, which can truly affect the government, and they will be pressurized to resolve this issue or withdraw from committing these human rights violations in Balochistan. I think the United Nations should have some reforms within it regarding the issue of enforced disappearances. Otherwise, it's with the countries like Pakistan, it is not going to work. The current mechanism which they are working on, it will keep happening, because they also have the idea, the intensity of the issue of enforced disappearances in Balochistan, what it is. I think it is the worst country in terms of forcibly disappearing people, because 45,000, over than 45,000 people being disappeared is not something light that that organization like United Nations should ignore,
right,
or should not put more and more pressure on it. I'm not happy with the way United Nations works on enforced disappearances. I have been discussing it with them. Also, last time when the first World Congress happened
right,
on enforced disappearances in United Nations, we have been pushing the working group on this, that they have to, because they also told us that they don't have a mandate to put economic pressure on Balochistan, on Pakistan, sorry. So we have been pushing for this, that this is not gonna solve anything in Balochistan. This will keep happening. People will keep disappearing with this system which United Nations currently has. So I hope, because they have been their remarks have been positive towards us. They have also kept sharing that they will have a reform, obviously, on that. But currently, they don't have a mandate on pressurizing Pakistan, except for notifying them that they have the issue. They know that enforced disappearances exist. Also, recent changes were that they have publicly sharing statements on enforced disappearances, which didn't happen in the last decades, in Balochistan, which is a change, we believe, and which gives us also hope that, they have an eye on it, and one day this issue is going to get resolved.
Talking of hope, before we end this podcast, just like to end on a positive note, if that's possible. Is there any hope that you see for the people of Balochistan, and what is the message that you would like to give to our viewers and the younger generation?
To be honest, I only have hope towards my own people, towards their strength, and towards their commitment to the movement. And I'm pretty sure, as I'm a part of that community, that piece of land and that nation, I know that they will keep resisting, and something that is constant will one day achieve its goal. That's obvious. And we have seen nations like Balochistan, which were oppressed and they were occupied by other countries. At the end of the day, they were freed, even though there were more powerful countries than Pakistan, which is right now occupying Balochistan. I've seen our people, they are committed with the movement. They have given sacrifices for the movement, and I believe that they have the strength to free themselves from the clutches of Pakistan. And the message to the people across the world, and also to our people, is that we should keep pushing for these against these injustices, because it's not just the issue of Balochistan. It's if you allow impunity in one place, it is going to affect the second place.
Absolutely.
So no one knows who is going to be the next, which nation is going to be the next, because it has been happening from the history till date, that there have been countries that have been oppressing, there have been governments, there have been dictators that have been oppressing the people. So if we as people do not unite, we as people do not resist, we as people do not give protection to others in a sense of letting them know that we are with you, we are with you in this hard time, then it is obvious that when it comes to someone else, then they will find themselves as alone as we are right now. And we hope that people will keep pushing their governments also to find a way to pressurize Pakistan against these human rights violations which are taking place in Balochistan. That's it. That's what I hope.
On that hopeful note, Jamal, it was an absolute pleasure to have you join us today. Thank you very much for sharing your personal story, sharing such insights and experiences. And I'm sure our viewers would have learned a lot from you. So thank you very much. All right. Thank you for joining us today, and hope to see you soon.